Describe the emotions the last 3+ weeks.
I'm excited. There's been a lot of change. I think that's the biggest thing right now for me is, as one old teammate said to me, when you go to a new team, nothing is on autopilot. Nothing's on cruise control. There's days where I miss lunch because I don't know where the cafeteria is, or I don't know when lunch ends. And so everything is new, even like figuring out what room can I use to watch film, and how do the lifts work? Everybody's new, everything's new. And so there's a lot of unknown, and you're starting to settle in, but a lot of change, and that's part of what you sign up for. I did it going from Washington, Minnesota, and now again coming to Atlanta.
Okay, but 3 weeks ago, how were your spirits?
Well, I mean, my spirits have kind of always been understanding that competition is a part of this job, this league. I go back to my story, and you know my story quite a bit, Dan, but in high school, I commit to Michigan State, and a few weeks later, Mark D'Antonio calls me to tell me that Nick Foles is going to be offered a scholarship as well. And I then looked up what Nick Foles had done in high school, and I thought he lived the movie Friday Night Lights. I mean, he played in state championship games. He played in front of 10,000 plus seat crowds. Like, this is not my high school experience, so I'm in trouble. But you learn that, hey, we go to work, we practice, we get better, we improve, we play the long game. And, Nick and I were both able to have long college careers and pro careers. Then I go to Washington, and it was a similar dynamic where you realize there's a quarterback in the same draft class as me here in this quarterback room. What does that mean for our careers? And you realize that, both of us were able to have productive careers in the sense that we both played a lot of football. And then again, now when you see us take a quarterback, you say, hey, this is more the norm than the exception. And I would expect both of us to go on to have, great careers up ahead. You just don't know how. That's the thing. You don't know how it's going to play out. I didn't know how Nick Foles and I were both going to have long pro careers. I didn't know how Griffin and I were going to end up playing, but it all works out, and I think this will be no different.
All right, take me back to Minnesota. Did they tell you they were going to draft a quarterback?
Well, they let me know pretty right before the pick, but outside of that, no.
But if you had stayed there, were they still going to go after J.J. McCarthy?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were saying Minnesota. I was talking about Falcons. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the conversations. So much of it was through my agent. No, it was very gray. It was very, we don't know what we're going to do. And speaking with Kevin O'Connell, who was always, very communicative with me. It was, we're not sure. He said, if we bring you back, we'd love to use the draft picks on defense. But you understand nobody really knows in March what they're going to do in late April.
But if you had known, if I gave you a do-over, Minnesota's going to take J.J. McCarthy, and Atlanta's going to take Michael Penix.
Yeah, no, I just don't think it's helpful to deal in hypotheticals. I mean, you can do that with any scenario at any point in your career, if this, then what, and you can go down a lot of trails. But I'm excited to be here in Atlanta, to be the quarterback of the Falcons. I think we've got a great opportunity to win a lot of games here, and have a lot to look forward to up ahead.
So you're watching the draft, and then you get a heads up, 30 seconds before the pick?
Yeah, maybe a minute and a half. It wasn't much.
Okay, are you at home with the wife and kids?
I was at a draft function at the stadium, and I was driving back up to my house. Yeah. Yeah.
So then you call your wife, and you say
Right.
What?
Basically what the team told me, that, hey, they're going to be drafting a quarterback. And, I think, again, I'm kind of rehashing with you. I remind my wife, hey, this is a big part of my story, going back to when I committed to Michigan State, going back to when I was drafted to Washington. And it's always had a way of working itself out. And so let's draw on past experience to trust that the future, can be the same.